Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most epic conflicts in ancient history, the Persian Wars. This wasn't just a series of battles. It was a clash of civilizations, a fight for freedom, and a story that shaped the course of Western history. So grab your popcorn, because this is better than any Hollywood blockbuster. It all begins not in Greece, but in Ionia, a region on the coast of modern-day Turkey. Greek city-states there had been living under the rule of the mighty Persian Empire. Around 499 BC, they got tired of paying taxes and answering to a foreign king. Led by the city of Miletus, they revolted. This is known as the Ionian Revolt. They even asked for help from their mainland Greek cousins. Sparta, ever cautious, said no thanks, but Athens, along with the city of Eretria, sent ships and soldiers. Together, they marched inland and burned the Persian regional capital, Sardis. This act did not go unnoticed. The Persian king, Darius the Great, was furious. Imagine someone burning down your capital's suburbs. He famously had a servant tell him every day, "Master, remember the Athenians." He crushed the Ionian Revolt, but his sights were now set on punishing Athens and Eretria and bringing all of Greece under his control. So, in 490 BC, Darius launched his first major invasion. A massive Persian fleet sailed across the Aegean Sea. They first stopped at Eretria, captured it, and deported its people. Next on the list, Athens. The Persian army landed at a bay called Marathon, about 26 miles from the city. The Athenians were terrified. They were outnumbered, and their allies were nowhere in sight, except for a small, brave contingent from the city of Plataea. The Athenian generals were divided. Some wanted to hide behind their city walls, while others, led by a brilliant commander named Miltiades, argued for a bold, direct attack. Miltiades won the argument. He knew the Persian strength was their cavalry and archers in the center. So, he devised a daring plan. He weakened his own center and packed his best soldiers, the hoplites, onto the flanks. As the battle began, the Athenians charged. The weak Athenian center buckled and fell back, just as Miltiades planned. The Persians, thinking they were winning, rushed forward into the trap. The strong Greek flanks then wheeled inward, enveloping and crushing the Persian forces from both sides. It was a stunning, decisive victory against overwhelming odds. A messenger, Phidippides, supposedly ran the 26 miles back to Athens to announce the victory, shouting Nike, meaning victory, before collapsing. And that, my friends, is the legendary origin of the Marathon race. The victory at Marathon was a huge morale boost for the Greeks, but they knew the Persians would be back. Darius died before he could launch a second invasion, but his son, Xerxes the Great, was even more determined. He spent years assembling one of the largest armies the ancient world had ever seen. We're talking hundreds of thousands of soldiers and over 1,000 ships. His plan was total conquest. In 480 BC, 10 years after Marathon, Xerxes launched his invasion. His massive army marched from Asia into Europe, crossing the Hellespont on a remarkable bridge made of boats. As this colossal force moved south, the Greek city-states faced a choice: submit or fight. While many submitted, a small coalition led by Sparta and Athens chose to resist. Their first stand was at a narrow coastal pass called Thermopylae. Here, a tiny Greek force, famously led by 300 Spartans under their king, Leonidas, planned to hold off the entire Persian army. The pass was so narrow that the Persians' numerical advantage meant little. For 2 days, the Greeks held their ground, inflicting massive casualties on the elite Persian troops, including the king's own bodyguards, the Immortals. The bravery was legendary, but it was undone by betrayal. A local Greek showed Xerxes a secret mountain path that led behind the Greek lines. When Leonidas realized he was surrounded, he ordered most of the army to retreat and save themselves. He, his 300 Spartans, and a few hundred other loyal Greeks stayed behind to fight to the last man, buying precious time for the rest of Greece to prepare. Their sacrifice became an immortal symbol of courage against impossible odds. While Leonidas fought on land, the Greek navy, led by the Athenian statesman Themistocles, engaged the Persian fleet at the nearby straits of Artemisium. They held their own, but retreated after hearing the news from Thermopylae. The path to Athens was now open. The Persians marched south, captured Athens, and burned the Acropolis to the ground in revenge for the burning of Sardis years earlier. It seemed like all was lost. The Persian army was in the heart of Greece, and Athens was in ruins. But Themistocles had one last, brilliant gambit. He convinced the panicked Greek allies to face the Persian navy in the narrow straits between the island of Salamis and the mainland. He knew the large, cumbersome Persian ships would struggle to maneuver in the tight space, while the smaller, more agile Greek triremes could run circles around them. To make sure the battle happened there, Themistocles sent a fake message to Xerxes, pretending to be a traitor. The message said the Greeks were planning to escape and that Xerxes could trap and destroy them all at Salamis. Xerxes, arrogant and overconfident, fell for it hook, line, and sinker. He sent his fleet into the straits, blocking the exits. The next morning, the Battle of Salamis began. Just as Themistocles predicted, the massive Persian fleet became a chaotic traffic jam. The Greek ships, powered by determined citizen rowers, rammed and sank ship after ship. It was a complete and utter disaster for the Persians. Xerxes, watching from a throne on a nearby hillside, could only look on in horror as his invincible navy was annihilated. With his fleet destroyed, Xerxes feared the Greeks would sail to the Hellespont and destroy his bridge of boats, trapping his army in Europe. He fled back to Persia with a large part of his army, leaving his general, Mardonius, in charge of a still massive force to finish the conquest the following year. The final act of the war came in 479 BC. Mardonius tried to use diplomacy to split the Greek alliance, offering to rebuild Athens if they would side with him. The Athenians, in a powerful display of unity, refused, declaring they would fight for their freedom as long as the sun followed its course. The two armies finally met for a decisive land battle near the town of Plataea. It was a massive engagement, with Greeks from across the city-states fighting side by side. After days of skirmishing and maneuvering, the Spartan hoplites led a charge that shattered the Persian lines. Mardonius himself was killed in the fighting, and the Persian army collapsed. The victory at Plataea was the final nail in the coffin for the invasion. On the very same day, the remnants of the Persian navy were destroyed by a Greek fleet at the Battle of Mycale on the Ionian coast. The Persian Wars were over. The threat of Persian conquest was ended. This victory wasn't just a military one, it was ideological. It preserved Greek independence and allowed their unique culture of democracy, philosophy, and art to flourish, creating a golden age in Athens that laid the foundations for Western civilization. The story of a few small city-states standing up to a massive empire and winning their freedom has inspired people for thousands of years. What an incredible story, right? The courage, the strategy, the sheer drama of it all. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. Let me know in the comments what you find most fascinating about the Persian Wars. Until next time, stay curious.